What if I told you that the very reason you exist is colliding with this exact hour? What if every heartbreak, every delay, every strange fire in your soul was not random but the blueprint of heaven for this moment? And what if missing this revelation could mean missing the reason you were born? Chosen one. You are not a mistake of time. You are not an accident of history. The Creator of heaven and earth set you apart, breathed into you, and positioned you as a living prophecy. He walked you through deserts so your spirit could burn with fire. He pulled you out of pits so you would know His power. He whispered in the midnight hour so you would not forget you were marked for this very day. And now the clock of eternity is striking louder. The prophets of old longed to see this hour. Angels watch with trembling awe, and yet you are the one alive to carry it. This is not just survival. This is not just another season. This is your divine unveiling. The world will not recognize what is rising in you until it shakes them to their core. Type 777 inches, the comments, if you feel that truth piercing your spirit right now. And to every single supporter, those who watch, like, comment, subscribe. And those who have gone above and beyond with a super thanks, know this: your faith keeps this message alive, spreading to the corners of the earth. From my heart, I thank you deeply. But don't move yet, because the mystery of why you were born, why you carry this unusual weight, and why the world feels like it's on the brink, it's about to be revealed. Stay close. Chosen one, the hour is not coming. The hour has arrived. God's chosen ones, you were born for this hour, but do you even realize why? This is not about tomorrow, nor a distant someday that fades like smoke on the horizon. This is now. This is the burning hour where silence can no longer hold. Part 2 begins, and it begins with the signs that humanity dared to overlook. Nations tremble under the weight of chaos. Wars and rumors of wars echo like thunder across continents, fulfilling what Christ declared in Matthew 24:6. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Can you deny that families are splintering before our very eyes, with hearts growing cold? Just as Jesus warned that because lawlessness will be increased, the love of many will grow cold. Matthew 24:12. Technology, once the tool of progress, now redefines identity and reality itself. Are we not watching humanity experiment with its very soul? And while truth gasps for breath, entertainment feeds illusions and dares to normalize what God calls an abomination, mocking the sacred as if holiness were a relic of the past. What does it stir in your spirit when you see children raised by screens rather than wisdom? Marriages collapsing under pressure like towers built on sand, and nations intoxicated by division? Is your soul not crying out that these are not accidents, but carefully timed birth pangs of prophecy unfolding? The prophet Isaiah's words resound through the centuries. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness. Isaiah 5:20. And as the psalmist once sang, why do the nations rage and the peoples plot in vain? Psalm 2:1. So now we see governments crumbling in confusion while heaven remains unshaken. History itself gives us mirrors to reflect the truth. Václav Havel, the Czech writer and president who resisted the crushing weight of communism, once said, The salvation of this human world lies nowhere else than in the human heart, in the human power to reflect, in human meekness, and in human responsibility. His voice, born in oppression, whispers across time that systems and empires may rise. But if the human heart is corrupted, collapse is inevitable. Does that not echo Christ's reminder that a house divided cannot stand? And still, heaven sings louder than the chaos. From Handel's Messiah comes the chorus that pierces the ages. For the Lord God omnipotent reigneth. This was not merely music, but prophecy woven in melody, declaring that though the world exalts corruption, the throne of God is not vacant. Like the oak tree standing unbent through storm and fire, the righteous who cling to truth will endure. Can your spirit not feel the resonance? As if divine frequencies are vibrating through every trembling fiber of creation. In physics, resonance amplifies sound until it breaks barriers. In the spirit, God's word amplifies until no lie can silence it. Yet not all chose the path of life. Nero, the Roman emperor infamous for cruelty, believed he could extinguish the light of the early church with fire and blood. But his reign ended in shame, his legacy one of madness and ruin, while the name of Christ only grew brighter. Is this not proof that those who rise against the chosen only build their own gallows? As Proverbs 11:21 declares, "Be sure of this, the wicked will not go unpunished, but those who are righteous will go free." Is of the bed of falling. The truth speaks not only from thrones of power, but from the lips of ordinary souls. A nurse named Clara, tending the sick in a forgotten rural town, once said in her simple conviction, "The world will not remember my name, but if one life feels God's love through me, that is eternity already begun." Her words, unrecorded in any textbook, carry more weight than the noise of corrupt empires, for they echo what Jesus promised in John 14:12. "Whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these. Even there is one the resard and lever state to reign to the stand of that." So, where do you stand in this hour where history, prophecy, out and eternity collide? Will you be lulled asleep while the trumpet is being lifted to the lips of heaven? Or will you rise awake, armor on, a flame in your spirit? The time is no longer hidden in shadow. The signs are written in the blood of martyrs, in the cries of the oppressed, in the trembling of creation itself. And now, chosen one, the call is fierce. Rise, take your place, and let your very life thunder against the darkness. For this is not tomorrow, not someday. This is now. These are not chaotic tremors drifting without purpose. They are signals burning like hidden beacons, trumpets cloaked as headlines, echoing across every screen and street. When Jesus said, "You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the times," Matthew 16:3. He exposed the blindness of an age too distracted to see its own hour. Yet to you, chosen one, a different wind is blowing. Your discernment is being awakened like a hawk rising on invisible currents of air, attuned to the slightest movement below. Can you feel it? This surge of holy perception, as if an unseen conductor were orchestrating every note of history's symphony around you. The world may call these events random, but to the eyes of the Spirit they are a language of heaven written in the cracks of earth's headlines. And those who refuse to listen now will be like deaf sentinels sleeping while the gates of destiny swing open. Part 3 begins here, the Akashic view of the final hour. A tapestry woven with threads of eternity. From the unseen field of divine record, spirals collapse into convergence. Just as Paul wrote that, the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. Romans 8:22. Does your heart not tremble when you sense that history is no longer a straight road, but a vortex pulling every event, every nation, every soul toward a single blazing point? The prophet Daniel once saw a vision of this convergence. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall increase. Daniel 12:4. And now knowledge swells like a tidal wave, while wisdom seems to retreat. What happens when knowledge without holiness accelerates like a particle in a collider, slamming against its own limits? It is in this collision that truth either refines or shatters, and only those rooted in discernment can stand when false wisdom collapses into dust. Nature itself whispers the pattern, the nautilus shell, spiraling in perfect logarithmic precision, collapses to a point at its core, as if creation itself were rehearsing the final convergence of time. And in the forests of Patagonia, a rare tree called the alerce stands for thousands of years. Its rings, recording centuries of storms and silence, are not these rings like the records of heaven, unbroken, waiting for the moment when all stories meet, as Revelation 8:6 declares. And the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. So too the headlines of our day mask the sound of trumpets poised to shatter illusion. The eagle hears the vibration of storms long before thunder breaks. In the same way, your spirit has been trained to hear the vibrations of heaven before the world understands what has arrived. Every sign in nature, from ocean tides to galaxies spinning, carries a rhythm that mirrors the divine countdown. History has shown us the danger of ignoring these signals. In the 17th century, Cardinal Richelieu of France wielded power in secret councils, believing he could manipulate destiny itself. Yet his intrigues unleashed wars that scarred generations, and his legacy became a cautionary tale of power without reverence. Does this not warn us that those who twist the currents of history for their own gain will be caught in the whirlpool they create? As Proverbs 26:27 says, "Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them." For arrogance always ends in collapse. Just as structures in architecture fail when their foundation is compromised, and in psychology, repression eventually erupts into chaos, the very principle that governs both nations and souls, and beyond thrones and empires, the voice of ordinary faith rises. Elena, a quiet violinist from a small village in Slovakia, once whispered before a concert in a candlelit chapel, "Every note I play is a prayer for the world to awaken." Her unseen devotion mirrors what Jesus promised in John 8:12. "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." Does this not suggest that every hidden act of faith, like every hidden frequency in physics, adds to a resonance that cannot be silenced? The world may not hear her name, but heaven inscribes her offering as eternal music, no less powerful than the thunder of prophets. And it reminds us that the kingdom of God does not always advance with noise, but often with whispers that shift entire atmospheres. What, then, will you do in this hour when spirals collapse and history converges at the speed of prophecy? Will you drift in the swirl of confusion, or rise above it like the hawk? Eyes fixed on the horizon of eternity, the field of heaven's record is not an archive for scholars, but a living architecture where every choice builds or fractures your eternal structure. Rise now, chosen one. with discernment ignited. For the trumpets are sounding under the noise of this world, and the hour of convergence is no longer a distant vision, but a present summons. Stand, for the battlefield is not waiting, it is here, and your silence or your courage will echo into eternity. And as Joshua once declared to Israel, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. Joshua 24-15. So the hour has come for you to rise and declare your allegiance to the kingdom that cannot fall. Centuries of unfinished battles are folding into this very moment, converging like rivers that have long wandered through valleys and deserts, only to meet at one roaring sea. Prophecies spoken thousands of years ago are vibrating in perfect alignment, carrying the frequency of eternity itself. Just as Isaiah declared, the word of our God will stand forever. Isaiah 40:8. Can you not sense that what you feel pressing against your spirit is not simply your own struggle, but the weight of generations? As though every ancient covenant and every broken oath were now calling for resolution. Every bloodline covenant, every hidden ritual whispered in shadows, every cycle that refused to break has been drawn forward to this hour. Does this not explain the heaviness in your chest, the trembling in your bones, the strange awareness that your fight is not only about you, but about a story older than your name? The unseen Akashic record bears testimony to this burden, inscribed with the echoes of those who came before you, their victories and their failures intertwined. Just as Hebrews 12:1 reminds us, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. So too you are not running alone. You are carrying a baton handed through centuries. The prophets saw it. The martyrs bled for it. And now the convergence rests on your shoulders. What if the reason you feel so stretched, so pressed, is because heaven is compressing centuries into your single lifetime? Pressure, in physics, is the concentration of force upon a surface, and under divine design, that pressure becomes the mechanism through which diamonds are formed. Could it be that the crushing weight you feel is shaping you into a jewel meant to reflect the glory of God in this final hour? Architecture teaches us that cathedrals rise not only through arches but through hidden keystones, the single stone that holds the entire structure together. In the same way, your destiny may be the keystone carrying the weight of countless generations. Paul said in Galatians 3:29, if you are Christ's, then you are Abraham's seed, and heirs according to the promise. That means your decisions today ripple backward and forward, closing the wounds of your ancestors and opening doors for those not yet born. Does this not stir something deep within you? That your obedience could heal what centuries left unresolved? The field of psychology names this intergenerational transmission, the passing of trauma through unseen pathways, yet God is using you to interrupt, to redirect, to transform the broken into blessed. History is filled with those who carried the burden of their people into decisive moments. Rosa, a seamstress in a quiet town, once whispered while repairing garments, I may be stitching clothes, but I pray I am also stitching futures. Her words, humble yet profound, remind us of Ruth in Scripture, who carried Naomi's lineage into redemption. As written in Ruth 4:14, praise be to the Lord, who this day has not left you without a guardian redeemer. What Rosa did not know was that her son would one day become a pastor. Shepherding thousands, her needle was not only mending fabric, it was mending destinies. Are you beginning to grasp that your smallest act under pressure may be the hinge upon which generations swing? But there have also been those who mishandled this weight. King Saul, entrusted with leadership, squandered his calling in disobedience, and the crown was torn from him. His downfall teaches us that ignoring the weight of divine responsibility invites ruin. For as 1 Samuel 15:23 records, rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance like the evil of idolatry. His story is a warning. If you bury your calling in fear or pride, the very weight designed to refine you will crush instead of crown. Does this not awaken you to the seriousness of the hour? That destiny cannot be delayed forever. So now, chosen one, you stand in the tension of centuries, carrying not only your name but the resonance of bloodlines and the vibration of prophecy. You are the living cathedral under construction, the keystone locking history into place, the diamond forming under divine pressure. The trumpet of decision is not far, it is here, vibrating through every moment, every breath. Rise into it. Stand firm under the weight, and know that this burden is proof that heaven has trusted you with more than survival. It has trusted you with transformation. For this is not only about your story, this is about history itself collapsing into your obedience. Rise, for the hour of convergence has arrived, and heaven waits for your yes. I see timelines spiraling into collapse, not as random threads unraveling, but as deliberate strands of eternity tightening into one decisive moment. Generational covenants are stacked like ancient pillars, each carrying both promise and weight. Victories once left unfinished now echo in your spirit, demanding completion. Debts unpaid by your ancestors press against your soul like heavy stones, and prophetic cycles, long dormant, are breaking open simultaneously, as though history itself has been waiting for this exact hour. Does your heart not recognize that the pressure you feel is more than personal? It is the inheritance of centuries pressing into your very breath. A convergence where every age finds its battleground in you. The prophets foresaw such days. Joel declared, "I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions." Joel 2:28. What if the visions stirring within you are not just your own, but the culmination of prayers whispered by generations before you? What if the dreams you carry are the unfulfilled cries of those who came before, waiting for your obedience to unlock their fulfillment? This explains why the battle feels unbearable. It is not merely your war, but the war of all ages converging into your soul. The Apostle Paul affirmed this weight when he wrote, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world." Ephesians 6:12. Are you not now beginning to see that what presses you is not chaos, but destiny clothed in resistance? Great thinkers of history understood this convergence of weight and responsibility. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German pastor who stood against Nazi tyranny, once wrote, "Being a Christian is less about cautiously avoiding sin than about courageously and actively doing God's will." His voice reminds us that some battles are not chosen, they are inherited, and the faithful must step into them or see their generation fall silent. And as Handel's Dettingen Te Deum thunders with the words, "The Lord is a man of war. The Lord is his name," we are reminded that heaven itself is not passive in this convergence. God is leading the charge, orchestrating every clash into ultimate victory. Can you sense that the war you face is one heaven has already scored with triumph? Nature testifies to this reality as well. In the deserts of Namibia, the shifting sands create mirages that vanish in moments. But beneath them lies bedrock that has stood for millennia. Is this not like the illusions of culture that fade quickly, while the eternal word remains unbroken, and deep within the ocean, tectonic plates grind against one another with unbearable pressure, until at last an earthquake reshapes entire continents? Does this not mirror the spiritual pressure you feel, as forces unseen grind together, preparing to release a seismic shift that will change history, as Romans 8:19 declares, "For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed." Could it be that all creation is waiting for you to rise under this pressure? Yet the story is not only about heroes. It also carries the warning of those who mishandled convergence. Pharaoh of Egypt, hardened in pride, resisted the will of God until plagues destroyed his land and the waters of the Red Sea buried his armies. His legacy teaches us that resisting the convergence of God's will only multiplies destruction. As Proverbs 16:18 warns, pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Do you not see how history itself cries out that prideful resistance to God's purpose always ends in collapse? And still, amidst such grand battles, God works through ordinary lives. A young baker named Thomas, in a small Hungarian village, once said to his customers, "Bread may fill the stomach, but love and truth feed the soul." He never knew that his humble words, spoken in a quiet market, would inspire his grandson to become a missionary who carried the gospel to thousands. His voice joins the testimony of Hebrews 11:39-40. These were all commended for their faith, yet none of them received what had been promised, since God had planned something better for us, so that only together with us would they be made perfect. Is it not powerful that your yesterday may fulfill promises left waiting for centuries? So here stands part 4. The spirals of history collapse into your lifetime. The unfinished wars of generations march into your soul. But you are not abandoned. You are not crushed beneath the weight, you are being forged beneath it. Rise, chosen one, for you are not called to break under this war of ages, but to stand as its final testimony. Lift your head, let your spirit burn, and declare with courage, "This is not just my battle. This is the victory of heaven rising through me." Why you were born for this, chosen one, is not a mystery of chance but a design of heaven. You are not an accident, not a byproduct of circumstance or coincidence. Your existence was the deliberate strategy of the Almighty, placed with precision into the climax of history. Jeremiah heard the Lord say, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." Jeremiah 1-5. And those words now pulse in your own veins. Can you not sense that every detail of your life was crafted to fit into this hour? As if you were an instrument tuned for the final symphony of the ages, your birth was not delayed, nor premature. It was aligned with the prophetic clock, and heaven's timing has never missed its mark. Your gifts were tailored for this generation, like weapons forged in fire, each ability sharpened for the precise enemies you would face. Paul reminded Timothy, "Fan into flame the gift of God, which is in you." 2 Timothy 1-6. And that same fire smolders within you now. What if the reason your talents seemed mismatched to the world's system was because they were designed not for their approval, but for kingdom impact? And what if the very opportunities denied to you were divine refusals, saving you for a higher stage? Gifts hidden in obscurity often burn brighter when unveiled in crisis. and your hands carry the tools that will dismantle the strongholds of this hour. Does your heart not realize that you were equipped for a war no one else could fight? Even your scars were training for warfare. Each wound a lesson. Each betrayal a drill for resilience. Joseph, in the scriptures, endured slavery and prison before standing in Pharaoh's court. And in Genesis 50-20, he declared to his brothers, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Are your scars not the same? Marks of battles intended for destruction but transformed into preparation. What once seemed unbearable is now your secret strength. For scars become the proof that weapons formed against you did not prosper. Like the bark of a storm-beaten tree, your life bears the evidence of endurance. And within those scars lies the authority to lead others through their storms. Could it be that your wounds were never wasted, but were the syllabus of heaven's military academy? Your very weaknesses are being transfigured into strength. Paul confessed in 2 Corinthians 12-9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Weakness has never been your disqualification. It has been the opening where divine power pours in. Does it not strike you with awe that the areas you once hid in shame are now the very places God is using to demonstrate His glory? In physics, the principle of resonance amplifies a faint frequency until it shakes entire structures. In the Spirit, God amplifies your weakness until it becomes the most resounding evidence of His strength. Weakness is not a liability. It is the stage where miracles announce themselves. The enemy tried to destroy you early because heaven placed you late at the climax of history. Pharaoh sought to kill Hebrew infants to prevent Moses from rising, and Herod slaughtered children to stop the Messiah's arrival. Yet both failed. For God's plan cannot be aborted by human schemes. Revelation 12-4-5 portrays the dragon waiting to devour the child destined to rule. But heaven intervened. Does this not mirror your story? That from your earliest days forces moved against you, sensing the magnitude of your assignment, and yet, here you are, breathing, standing, unbroken living proof that you are untouchable until God says your time has come. Nature preaches the same truth. The Arctic poppy grows where no flower should survive, twisting its petals to follow the sun in regions of near-eternal night. Is this not your story, that you bloomed where darkness reigned, turning always toward the faintest light until your season arrived? And in the mountains, rivers carve valleys over centuries, showing that relentless pressure cannot erase destiny, but only sculpt it. You were shaped in hiddenness, yet destined to flow openly at the appointed hour. History warns us through its villains that those who rise against the chosen are crushed by their own schemes. Antiochus I Epiphanes, who desecrated the temple and mocked God's covenant people, ended his days in madness and disease, a monument to the futility of defying heaven. His fate shouts across centuries the truth of Psalm 37-13. The Lord laughs at the wicked, for he sees that their day is coming. If his downfall was written into history, can you not trust that your survival has also been etched into eternity, and the testimony of ordinary lives still echoes? Marta, a schoolteacher in a forgotten Spanish village, once told her pupils, "Knowledge without courage dies in silence." She had no stage, nor fame, yet her words ignited a generation of children who grew to carry boldness into politics, churches, and families. Does this not remind you that your impact is not measured by applause, but by the courage you leave burning in others? Every act of faith you live out becomes the seed of another's breakthrough. proving that heaven wastes nothing. So rise now. Chosen one, heaven's strategy has never failed. And you are not misplaced in time, you are positioned. Your scars are not chains, they are medals. Your weaknesses are not shame, they are power. The war of ages converges. But you were forged for this climax. Stand tall. Ignite your gifts. And let the world know you were born for this hour. And no enemy can undo what heaven has decreed. Do you not see that your survival itself is a living prophecy written across time? A signpost blazing amid the fog of history. Part 5 opens like a trumpet blast. The nature of the final hour war is revealed. This is not a conflict of flags or borders alone. It is a war of frequencies. A clash of unseen vibrations shaping minds and destinies. It is a war of narratives, where truth and lies duel for the right to define reality. It is a war of identities. The ancients struggled to erase the image of God in humanity and replace it with confusion. Babylon rises again to keep you distracted with noise. And the archons of this age battle to keep you fractured within yourself. Yet heaven is fighting to awaken you, to tune your soul to its original resonance. Isaiah cried out, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." Isaiah 60:1. And that call now pulses through your own heartbeat. This war is not fought only with weapons you can touch. Paul wrote, "The weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but have divine power to demolish strongholds." 2 Corinthians 10:4. And those strongholds today are built in the mind, in the frequencies of thought and culture. Can you sense how every story, every song, every scroll of a feed carries either a frequency of truth or a vibration of deception? In physics, resonance is when a faint signal meets the right frequency and suddenly shakes entire structures. In the spirit, heaven's truth strikes the hidden frequency of your soul until it awakens. Could this be why you feel a stirring you cannot explain? As if an invisible hand is tuning you like a harp for a coming symphony. Architecture teaches that cathedrals were built to amplify sacred sound so that even a whisper of prayer reached heaven like thunder. Your life, chosen one, is becoming such a cathedral, a structure designed to resonate with divine frequencies. Revelation 14:2 describes John hearing a voice from heaven, like the roar of many waters and like the sound of loud thunder. This is the sound now forming within you. Does your spirit not quiver when you realize you were built to carry a sound that can break chains in others? And just as in psychology, fragmented identity breeds dissonance, but integrated identity creates harmony. Heaven is restoring your inner architecture so you can stand whole in this war of frequencies. Nature itself mirrors this invisible struggle. The auroras at the Earth's poles shimmer as solar winds collide with our magnetic field. Unseen particles creating living curtains of light. Is this not like the collision of heavenly truth and earthly deception? In your own life, out of invisible warfare, emerges breathtaking evidence of glory. And the narwhal, a creature of the deep Arctic, uses a spiral tusk to sense changes in the currents of the ocean. Are you not sensing the currents of eternity shifting? Your tusk of discernment growing sharper. Romans 13:11 warns, "The hour has already come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed." Are you waking up to how urgently heaven is summoning you? History warns us through its villains. Simon Magus, an early sorcerer mentioned in Acts 8:18-20, tried to buy the power of the Holy Spirit, treating divine frequency as a commodity. Peter rebuked him, and tradition says he ended his life in ruin, a symbol of corruption imploding on itself. Does this not prove that those who exploit holy things for their own ends are destroyed by the very power they crave? Babylon and its archons may roar, but they are sowing their own collapse. Psalm 2-4 reminds us, "The one enthroned in heaven laughs, the Lord scoffs at them." And yet the story deepens. Simon's downfall is not merely a cautionary tale, but an architectural blueprint showing how every counterfeit kingdom carries within itself the fault lines of its destruction. Like a bridge built without a true keystone, it may stand for a time, but under the weight of truth it fractures. Does your spirit not stir at the thought that every system opposing God is already cracking under its own resonance? Every act of manipulation releases an echo that returns as judgment, and every false altar is destined to collapse under the weight of its own deception. And yet heaven's battle strategy often begins with ordinary lives. Emilia, a street cleaner in a crowded Brazilian city, once said softly while sweeping at dawn, "Every path I clear, I pray someone will walk awake." She had no pulpit, but her prayer became a channel for awakening in her neighborhood, leading to a small revival in a forgotten church. Her hidden act echoes Zechariah 4:6, "Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord Almighty." Does this not assure you that the smallest faithful action can carry the largest resonance in this war? And as her broom met the pavement, she was, in truth, striking chords on heaven's harp, releasing vibrations of intercession into the atmosphere, like mycelium beneath a forest floor connecting unseen roots. Her unseen prayers connected souls and stirred dormant seeds to life. Could it be that your own unnoticed acts, your whispered prayers, your private obediences are already resonating like tuning forks across unseen distances, waking people you may never meet? Heaven's greatest campaigns often look unimpressive at ground level, yet they are seismic in the spirit. So rise now, chosen one. The war of frequencies is not a threat, but an invitation to tune yourself to heaven's key. Let your identity anchor in Christ, your narrative align with truth, your frequency vibrate with power. Babylon cannot distract you. Archons cannot fracture you, because heaven has awakened you. Stand, for you are not a bystander, but a living instrument in the final symphony, a cathedral built to echo God's voice in the war of the ages. And as you stand, you become like a lighthouse amid a storm, an unshaken structure whose beams cut through the fog to guide others home. Every decision you make in secret is a note added to heaven's score. Every act of faith a stone placed in the rising walls of a temple not made by human hands. Do you feel the shift already? That your life is not just participating in a war, but composing its victory hymn? The final symphony has begun, and your note must be heard. This is why the attack has cut so deeply. Chosen one, because the final war is not only waged out there on distant battlefields, it is being fought inside you. The enemy has always known that if he can fracture your inner sanctuary, he can silence the trumpet of your destiny. This war is not confined to politics or governments, it is vibration. A clash of frequencies shaping reality itself. It is light contending with shadow, truth battling distortion, divine agreement confronting the chaos of confusion. Did you not realize your soul is more than flesh and memory? It is a transmitter, a living instrument vibrating with either harmony or dissonance. Your very voice is a trumpet, and every word you release either builds the throne of heaven or strengthens the citadels of Babylon. John 1-5 reminds us, The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Could it be that your survival, until this moment, was so the light within you could break the frequencies of shadow that surround you? The prophets understood this invisible dimension. Paul declared, "Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Christ," Romans 10:17, unveiling that frequencies of truth unlock faith, while lies corrode it. What is faith if not a resonance with heaven's voice? And what is deception if not distortion designed to scramble the divine signal? Your battle has been so personal because your frequency carries weight. Heaven entrusted you with a sound capable of shifting entire atmospheres. Does it not pierce your heart that every time you choose truth over compromise, heaven resounds with victory? History whispers its confirmation. Hildegard of Bingen, the medieval abbess, visionary and composer, once wrote, "All of creation is a symphony of joy and jubilation." Her life testified that sound was not ornament but revelation, a medium through which heaven revealed its patterns. And when Handel's Zadok the priest swells with its sudden burst of sound, it feels as though the heavens themselves thunder agreement with those who refuse to bow to distortion. Can you not sense that your life, too, has been orchestrated like such a sacred crescendo? Nature illustrates this battle with stunning clarity. In the dense forests of the Amazon, bioluminescent fungi emit light in the blackest night, declaring silently that darkness cannot erase what was designed to shine. And deep in the ocean, the humble whale communicates across thousands of miles through low-frequency songs, proving that true resonance transcends silence and distance. Is your spirit not like that whale, carrying a song across ages, heard in realms you cannot see but powerful enough to shatter walls unseen? Revelation 12:11 declares, "They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony." Could it be that your testimony, your voice, was always meant to be the vibration that breaks Babylon's hold? Scripture also warns us with examples of those who surrendered their frequency to corruption. Jezebel, Queen of Israel, manipulated words as weapons, twisting truth into deception, seducing a nation into idolatry. But in the end, her voice fell silent, her power dismantled, her very body consumed by the dogs of Jezreel. 2 Kings 9:36. Does this not prove that every distortion collapses under its own corruption, while the frequency of heaven endures? Psalm 29:4 declares, "The voice of the Lord is powerful, the voice of the Lord is majestic." Babylon's whispers may entice, but they cannot endure the trumpet blast of God's truth flowing through you. And in the quiet corners of this world, ordinary lives carry extraordinary resonance. Lukas, a young farmer in Poland, once said to his children while sowing seeds, "Every seed I place in the ground is my agreement with tomorrow." He did not know that years later, those very words would inspire his daughter to become a missionary, planting churches in regions once barren with unbelief. His voice, humble yet firm, became a trumpet sounding across generations. Does this not stir you to realize that your smallest word of faith, your simplest agreement with truth, is building foundations for eternity? So rise now. Chosen one, Babylon's static cannot silence you. Archons cannot fracture you, and shadows cannot distort you. You are not a passive receiver, you are a transmitter, a trumpet in the hands of heaven. Lift your voice, align your frequency with light, and declare, "My agreement builds the throne of God." For the final war may rage around you and within you, but you were born to resound with victory. Part 6 unveils the first principles of final hour living principles that pierce the soul like fire on stone. Urgency without panic. For though time races like a river at flood, heaven moves with precision, never early and never late. Jesus himself said, "My time is not yet here, for you any time will do," John 7-6, reminding us that divine timing is sharper than any human clock. Does your spirit not sense the tension between the world's frantic noise and heaven's steady rhythm? The urgency you feel is not meant to drive you into chaos, but to awaken you into clarity. For in this final hour, every second is pregnant with eternal weight. Yet heaven is not panicked, it is precise. Purity of voice is the next principle. In this hour, every careless word becomes a weapon, either for light or for darkness. Jesus warned in Matthew 12:36, "Everyone will have to give account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken." Do you grasp the gravity of this? That your tongue is not a tool for chatter, but a trumpet for destiny. A single word can heal or devastate, build a bridge or ignite a war. Like the alpine edelweiss flower that blooms in harshest cliffs. Purity of voice is rare, but its beauty proves what cannot be corrupted by the storm. What frequencies are you releasing into the atmosphere? Are they strengthening the throne of heaven, or echoing confusion into Babylon's walls? Collective alignment is the third principle. Lone wolves fall, but armies rise. Ecclesiastes 9:9 teaches, though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. Have you not seen how isolation weakens your resolve, while unity multiplies your strength? Just as starlings in murmuration move as one great body, creating living patterns in the sky, so too are the chosen called to align in formation, becoming an unstoppable force. To separate yourself in this hour is to court defeat, but to align with heaven's army is to move in unbreakable harmony. Can you feel the call summoning you out of isolation into divine alignment? And then comes Kairos, obedience, the obedience of the exact appointed moment. Delayed obedience is disobedience in the final hour. When God spoke to Abraham to leave Ur, and he left. When he commanded Noah to build, he built. When Jesus called Peter from the boat, he stepped out. Hebrews 3:15 declares, "Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts." Does this not burn within you? That hesitation at the edge of destiny is as dangerous as rebellion. In physics, hesitation is like the moment before. A chain reaction fails, one fraction of delay, and the release never comes. In heaven's design, timing is everything. To wait when commanded to move is to forfeit momentum. And in this final hour, momentum itself is warfare. History warns us through its villains what delayed or corrupted obedience brings. King Agrippa, who listened to Paul's testimony in Acts 26, replied, "Almost you persuade me to be a Christian, but almost is not obedience." And his hesitation sealed his fate, as a man remembered for rejecting a divine summons. Does this not remind us that partial agreement is total rebellion when heaven has spoken? The hesitation of Agrippa echoes into this hour as a haunting warning. Delay is death. And still, God's principles manifest through ordinary lives. Sophia, a seamstress in a forgotten Italian village, once told her apprentice, "The stitch undone today becomes the tear of tomorrow." Her wisdom was not shouted from pulpits, but lived in fabric. reminding us that delayed action multiplies brokenness. Decades later, her apprentice used those words to counsel her own children, and they carried that discipline into building strong families. Is it not astonishing that such quiet obedience to timing creates ripples that reach across generations? So rise now, chosen one. The final hour is no longer theory, it is upon you. Live with urgency, but without panic. Guard your voice as a weapon of heaven. Align with the army of light. For lone wolves will fall, and above all, obey without delay. For heaven's command in this hour cannot be postponed. Stand tall, lift your trumpet voice, and declare, I will not hesitate. I will not fracture. I will not speak distortion. I will live as heaven's precise instrument in the final war. Vision over distraction, that is the first command of this hour. You cannot afford to waste energy on trivial disputes when an eternal war is raging across the realms. Nehemiah refused to come down from rebuilding the wall, saying, I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Nehemiah 6-3. Does that not stir your own heart? Reminding you that your assignment cannot be interrupted by small battles designed to drain you. Part 7 resounds like a drumbeat. The chosen one's assignment is not about comfort, but about command. The world may invite you to sit quietly, to blend into the background. But heaven shouts through your spirit, this is not the hour for ease, it is the hour for authority. You are not here to fit in, for blending into Babylon would be betrayal. You are here to stand out as Daniel did in Babylon, refusing the king's food and bowing only to the living God. Daniel 1 contre 8 records. But Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and wine. Does your soul not tremble at the thought that the pressure to conform today is the very furnace in which distinction is forged? Like the lighthouse that stands unshaken against crashing waves, your assignment is to shine where others collapse. What if your difference is not a curse but the crown heaven has placed upon you? You are not here to merely survive. Israel was not rescued from Egypt just to wander endlessly. They were called to legislate the law of God in a new land. Exodus nos presece, chasse declares. You will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Do you see that your assignment carries the same mantle of authority? To legislate heaven's order into earth's chaos. In politics, legislation creates structure in the spirit. Your decrees align reality with divine law. Every prayer, every declaration you release is not wishful thinking, but legal authority in the courts of heaven. Does this not reveal why the enemy has fought so fiercely to silence your voice? Nature itself illustrates this reality. In the volcanic soils of Iceland, the hardy lupine flowers bloom where fire once destroyed the land, legislating beauty where devastation reigned. Are you not the same called to establish life in places the enemy once burned, and like migrating monarch butterflies that travel thousands of miles, guided by an inner compass? Your assignment is guided by frequencies unseen yet undeniable. Can you feel that inner compass pulling you, refusing to let you settle in places that are too small for your destiny? Isaiah 30-21 assures you, whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you, saying, this is the way, walk in it. Well done. But history warns us through those who surrendered their vision to distraction. Esau, driven by hunger, traded his birthright for a single meal. Genesis 25-34. His short-sightedness caused him to lose the authority that was rightfully his. Do you not see the danger when chosen ones fall for distractions? Entire generations are robbed of their inheritance. His story is a siren warning for this hour. To abandon command for comfort is to abdicate destiny. Yet God's truth is also revealed in ordinary lives. A bus driver in Manila named Rafael once told a passenger in traffic, "If I drive only to survive, I miss the reason I carry people. I carry their stories." His words, unnoticed by the world, are echoes of heaven. Survival alone is not enough, for your life carries the assignment of others within it. Does it not awaken something within you? That your obedience is not only for you, but for every soul tied to your journey. This is why you cannot settle. This is why you cannot dilute your assignment. Vision over distraction. Command over comfort. Legislation over survival. Stand out as the city on a hill Jesus spoke of in Matthew 5:14. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Rise, chosen one. This is not the hour to blend. This is the hour to blaze. Heaven is waiting not for your excuses, but for your command. You are not here to escape. You are here to govern. Chosen one. This is no time for retreat. For the chosen ones are heaven's final answer to earth's deepest crisis. As Romans 8:19 declares, the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. And that revelation burns inside you now. Can you feel the weight of that calling, pressing like a crown before it rests upon your head? The training you endured was severe because your assignment is not to drift through history but to shape it. You are not built for comfort but for command. Your spirit hammered like steel to wield authority in the hour when the world trembles. You are not a victim of history, you are the hinge upon which history swings. Joseph in Egypt was sold, betrayed, imprisoned. Yet at the appointed moment he said, "God sent me ahead of you to preserve life." Genesis 45:5. Does your heart not burn at the thought that your own suffering, like Joseph's, has positioned you at the pivot of nations? You are the door's hinge, unseen, but carrying the entire weight of the door. Without the hinge, the door cannot open. Without your obedience, destinies remain locked. Is this not why your preparation felt like pressure, compressing your life until only purpose remained? You are not late. You are heaven's latest stage weapon, unveiled at the climax of history. Esther was raised in obscurity until the hour she stood before the king to save her people. And Mordecai told her, "Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" Esther 4:14. Does it not echo within you that your timing is not accidental but strategic, like a violin held in silence until the conductor signals its solo? You have been hidden, not forgotten. And when your bow strikes the strings of destiny, the sound will reverberate across generations. Nature testifies to your calling. The African baobab tree grows for centuries before reaching its full stature, its roots deeper than its towering trunk. Is this not your story, that your unseen roots of prayer, endurance, and discipline have been stretching deep to anchor the weight you are called to carry? And like migrating cranes flying in formation, you were designed not for hiding, but for leading. Your wings catching the currents of heaven to guide others safely. Isaiah 9:8 promises, "I will make you into a threshing sledge, new and sharp. With many teeth, you will thresh the mountains and crush them." Could it be that heaven has shaped you into a living instrument capable of cutting through the strongest resistance? History warns us through those who rejected their role. King Saul was anointed, but squandered his command through fear and compromise. And the crown passed to David. 1 Samuel 15:23 records, Rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance like the evil of idolatry. Does this not awaken you to the danger of shrinking back when heaven calls you forward? Those who choose comfort over command lose the legacy they were meant to steward. Yet heaven's truth also emerges through ordinary lives. Lucia, a midwife in a remote Chilean village, once whispered over a newborn child, "Every life I touch may be the hinge on which a nation turns." She did not know that one of those children would grow up to lead a movement of compassion across an entire region. Does it not stir you to realize that your smallest act of faith may be carrying the future of thousands? And when the world tries to make you forget who you are, remember the ancient chorus from Bach's Magnificat rising in the vaulted cathedrals of Europe. He has brought down rulers from their thrones, but has lifted up the humble. Luke 1:52. This is the anthem of the chosen, the music of your mandate. You are not a bystander. You are not a victim. You are not late. You are heaven's latest stage weapon, a hinge upon which the final act of history swings. Rise. Chosen one, stand in command. The hour has come. Prophetic activation is not a whisper in the background. It is a trumpet call breaking through the noise of this generation. Lift your head. Chosen one, for the final hour is not approaching. It has already arrived, and you were born for it. The Father has summoned this moment to awaken every dormant gift within you, to seal every fractured soul that thought it could not endure, and to ignite the fire of destiny that cannot be quenched. Isaiah 61:1 resounds, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor." Can you feel the oil of that same anointing flowing over your life, calling you out of silence into command? This is the hour when victims are transformed into rulers, when commanders rise from the ashes of casualties. Romans 8:37 declares, "In all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." Does it not shake you to realize that you were never meant to survive as a statistic, but to govern as an heir of the kingdom? You are not stumbling aimlessly. You are being positioned as a son, as a daughter of eternity, with authority written into your very DNA. What if the weakness you lamented was only the cocoon where your wings were forming? What if the very battles you thought would bury you were the weightlifting sessions that strengthened you for dominion? Nature itself reflects this transformation. The phoenix moth emerges from its cocoon, fragile yet luminous, carrying wings painted with fire-like patterns, proving that confinement is never the end, but the forge of flight. And in the mountains, dormant volcanoes slumber for centuries, only to erupt with unstoppable force, reshaping entire landscapes. Are you not the same? Chosen one, holding within you a dormant fire destined to ignite the world. Jeremiah 20:9 captures it perfectly. His word is in my heart like a fire shut up in my bones. I am weary of holding it in. Indeed, I cannot. Does that fire not already stir within your bones, demanding release? Yet Scripture warns us through those who wasted their activation. Samson, anointed with supernatural strength, traded his consecration for temporary pleasure, and the Philistines bound him. Judges 16:21 says, "Then the Philistines seized him, gouged out his eyes and took him down to Gaza." His story shouts across time. Neglecting your gift invites captivity, but consecration unleashes power. Does it not sober your spirit that distraction can enslave what was meant to deliver nations? But God still weaves his purposes through ordinary lives. Ana, a single mother from Mexico City, once told her son while folding laundry, "God doesn't give us fire to hide it. He gives it to us to warm the world. Years later, that son became a pastor whose sermons carried revival fire across continents. Her simple conviction was a prophetic activation disguised in everyday life. Does this not stir you to realize that heaven's ignition in you is not just for you, but for countless lives attached to your obedience? Even the arts echo this moment. In Beethoven's Symphony No. Joe, the ode to joy bursts forth after movements of tension and silence, as if declaring that light will always erupt after darkness. Can you not feel your own life moving toward that same crescendo, where heaven's joy and power erupt through you as testimony to the ages? Psalm 2:8 affirms your inheritance. Ask me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, the ends of the earth your possession. Speak as this tree, so rise. Chosen one, this is not the hour to shrink back, but to burn brighter. The final war has arrived, but you were born for this very hour. Walk as rulers, not victims. Lead as commanders, not casualties. Live as sons and daughters of eternity, forged in fire, destined for dominion. Lift your trumpet voice, awaken your dormant gifts, and let the earth know, I was not placed here by accident, I was sent here by heaven's decree. From the record of heaven, I see scrolls opening now, not faint metaphors, but living decrees trembling with divine energy. Scroll of nations, destinies of entire peoples written in lines of fire. Scroll of bloodlines, ancestral assignments unresolved. Cries of generations waiting for justice. Scroll of thrones, those who govern spiritually in this generation, seated in places unseen. Revelation 5:1 speaks of a scroll in the right hand of him who sat on the throne, sealed with 7 seals. Does your spirit not quiver when you sense that such scrolls are no longer hidden but opening before your lifetime? The final hour is the hour of judgment for these scrolls. And heaven has summoned you not to spectate, but to legislate. And if heaven's archives are opening in this hour, then your very breath is part of the courtroom record, every prayer, every decree inscribed as testimony. What if history itself is waiting for your yes to complete what generations before you began? You are called to read, to legislate, to seal. Daniel saw in a vision. Books were opened, Daniel 7:10, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. Is your heart not burning to realize that the same books up to the same records and are unfolding now with your name attached to them? In this moment, the Father is inviting you to function not as a refugee of history, but as a royal scribe, an emissary of his court. What would it mean if your obedience were the signature that finishes an assignment begun by your ancestors? What if the scroll of your family line has been waiting for your voice to close its chapter with victory? And if your ancestors fought without seeing the full reward, is it not possible that you are the appointed one to carry their unfinished cry into triumph? Could your whispered prayers be the ink heaven has waited centuries to write with? Architecture teaches us that a keystone holds an arch together, unseen yet indispensable, in the spirit. Your reading and decreeing of these scrolls is the keystone of heaven's architecture in this generation. Revelation 10:10 records John taking the little scroll and eating it. It was sweet in his mouth, but bitter in his stomach. Does it not echo your own experience? Tasting the sweetness of calling, yet carrying the weight of responsibility. And just as in physics, pressure transforms carbon into diamond. The weight of these scrolls is transforming your hidden character into unbreakable authority. Every decree you make under pressure is not breaking you, but crystallizing you into something that cannot be crushed. Does your soul not sense that the unseen heaviness you carry is the very force shaping you into a pillar for generations to rest upon? Nature mirrors this hidden authority. The giant sequoia releases its seeds only through fire, without the heat of flames. Its future remains sealed. Is your spirit not like that? Chosen one, carrying potential scrolls that only open through the fire of testing, and like the Arctic tern that travels from pole to pole. Your assignment spans realms, unseen yet exact, a migratory path written by the Creator. Isaiah, vif en quid vif, umesting promises. So is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire. Could it be that your decrees are the currents carrying heaven's word to its destination? Every hardship becomes a flame unlocking your hidden seed, and every journey stretches you further into your true compass. Is this not why you cannot settle in small places? Because your assignment is written across continents and centuries. History warns us through those who mishandled holy records. Belshazzar, king of Babylon, drank from the sacred vessels of the temple, and a hand wrote his judgment on the wall. Daniel 5:26 declares, "You have been weighed on the scales and found wanting." Does this not jolt your soul that scrolls and vessels can bear witness either to glory or to destruction, depending on how they're handled? Those who defile sacred things inscribe their own downfall. Those who steward them with reverence write legacies of deliverance. And so the warning echoes, what you touch with dishonor writes a curse, but what you seal in reverence engraves a blessing. Could it be that your generation is being tested in how it treats the holy things, whether with casual neglect or trembling awe, and heaven's truth still rises through ordinary lives? A postman in Kenya named Emmanuel once told his apprentice, "Every letter I deliver carries someone's hope." He did not know that his simple fidelity to his root inspired his daughter to start a literacy program for thousands of children. Does this not show you that your small acts of faith, your daily decrees, may be sealing scrolls you cannot yet see? Psalm 102:18 declares, "Let this be written for a future generation, that a people not yet created may praise the Lord." If one postman's devotion to letters shaped futures, how much more can your words shape eternity? What if every act of unseen obedience was actually writing a line in heaven's unfolding story? Does it not awaken you to know that nothing you do in alignment with God is wasted? This is part 9, prophetic activation. The scrolls are open. The hour of sealing is now. You are not called to stand at a distance, but to step into the courts of heaven, to read what has been hidden, to legislate what must be established, to seal what has been left unresolved. Rise, chosen one. Lift your voice as the trumpet of heaven's architecture in the earth. The scrolls will not remain open forever, and your signature of obedience may close the chapter of centuries. And when history looks back, it will not remember the hesitation of the crowd, but the decree of the chosen one who stood in the courtroom of eternity. Will you be the voice heaven trusted to write the final line? The scrolls have opened, and now the summons is clear. You are being called into the courtroom of heaven. Chosen one, not as a spectator, not as a silent bystander, but as one crowned with authority. Revelation 4:4 declares. Surrounding the throne were 24 other thrones, and seated on them were 24 elders. They were dressed in white and had crowns of gold on their heads. Does this not shake you to realize that your destiny is not to wander in the outer courts, but to sit where crowns are worn and decrees are issued? The final hour is not about passive endurance, it is about judicial authority. And if heaven trusted elders with thrones, how much more has it entrusted you with influence in this pivotal hour? To refuse the seat is to leave your scroll unread, your verdict unspoken, your authority unused. In this heavenly courtroom, nations are weighed, generations are measured, and thrones are tested. Zechariah 3 describes Joshua the high priest standing before the angel of the Lord, clothed in filthy garments, until heaven commanded that new, clean robes be placed upon him. Can you feel the resonance, how heaven is clothing you now, stripping away the stains of old battles, and preparing you to stand as a representative of divine order? What if the very shame you once carried was only preparation for the robe of authority you are now called to wear? Do you not see that every stain removed is also every accusation silenced? Every garment exchanged is a testimony written in your favor. The courtroom does not remember your past, it remembers only your alignment with heaven's decree. This is the realm of heavenly jurisprudence, the sacred law beyond earthly systems. Every word here is not just sound, but frequency, shaping realities like waves through matter. Physics calls this resonance, when one vibration ignites another until the entire structure trembles. Is it not astonishing that your voice, aligned with heaven, sends vibrations that reach the unseen architecture of nations? Isaiah 55:11 assures us, "So is my word that goes out from my mouth. It will not return to me empty, but will accomplish what I desire and achieve the purpose for which I sent it." And, like a tuning fork, setting an entire hall into harmony, your decree aligns creation itself. Could it be that heaven has waited for your sound to recalibrate the earth's atmosphere? Could it be that your silence has delayed victories that only your resonance can unlock? Nature reflects this courtroom power. The thunderclap rolls across mountains, its sound reshaping valleys with sheer force. The peacock opens its radiant feathers in a fan of majesty, a visual crown declaring authority without words. Does this not mirror your own calling, that your very presence is meant to radiate heaven's verdict? Your very stance a declaration that light has prevailed. Psalm 149:9 proclaims, "To carry out the sentence written against them, this is the glory of all his faithful people." And just as rivers carve through rock, not by violence, but by persistence, so too your authority, when exercised faithfully, reshapes the hardest terrains of culture and history. You are not only thunder that announces the storm, you are the rain that nourishes the soil of future generations. But history also warns us through those who mishandled such authority. Pilate sat on the judgment seat when Christ stood before him, yet out of fear of the crowd, he washed his hands and let injustice rule. His name echoes through centuries as the man who yielded to pressure rather than truth. Does this not sober you, that to abdicate your seat in heaven's courtroom is to write your name in the footnotes of cowardice, while to rise in obedience is to write your name among the faithful judges of eternity? Each generation remembers Pilate not for what he ruled, but for what he failed to rule. And so the warning remains: neutrality in the face of destiny is still rebellion, and silence in the hour of verdict is still complicity. And heaven whispers through ordinary lives as well. A teacher named Maria in Argentina once told her students during a heated debate, "In this classroom, you are not just learning equations, you are learning how to judge rightly. Because one day, the world will need your decisions." Years later, one of her students became a judge who fought corruption and restored integrity to her region. Is it not stunning that a simple reminder in a small classroom was the seed of courtroom authority that transformed thousands? The most ordinary words spoken in hidden rooms can echo like thunder in future generations. Could your daily obedience, your quiet faithfulness, be the very gavel that shifts history's balance? Even the arts have foreshadowed this moment. In Shakespeare's Measure for Measure, the Duke disguises himself to observe his city, but ultimately removes his disguise to judge with justice. Like the Duke unveiling himself, you too are being unmasked to govern with true authority. And in Handel's coronation anthem, the triumphant strains resound. Zadok the priest and Nathan the prophet anointed Solomon king. Does this not reveal that your crowning is not ceremony, it is a heavenly activation? The rhythm of sacred music has always been prophecy in sound, announcing that crowns are not ornaments, but instruments of command. Could it be that heaven has orchestrated your unveiling like a symphony, with every hidden note leading to this crescendo? So, rise now. Chosen one, the courtroom of heaven is open, and your crown is waiting. No longer shrink back in hesitation. No longer wash your hands like Pilate. Step forward as one anointed, clothed, and crowned. Declare judgments that dismantle Babylon and establish Zion. Rule as heaven's emissary on earth. For this is not only your privilege, it is your assignment. And know this, the crown is not simply a symbol resting on your head. It is a frequency, a signal, a living declaration that you carry the authority of the King himself. The gavel is in your hand. The scroll is before you. The nations are waiting for your decree. Chosen one, we have walked through the mystery, the fire, and the weight of this revelation together. Now, it is time to pause and let this truth strike your spirit like lightning. You were not born by chance, nor were you placed in this generation by coincidence. You were designed, refined, and assigned for this exact hour of history. Ephesians 2:10 declares, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." That means long before you took your first breath, heaven had already carved out a path for you to walk, a mantle for you to carry, and a throne for you to occupy in the Spirit. But here is the sobering truth. Being chosen is not about surviving, it is about governing. You were placed here not to escape, but to establish heaven's order in the midst of chaos. The pressure you've endured, the betrayals you've overcome, the storms that tried to drown you, none of it was wasted. Romans 8:28 assures us, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." Your scars are not disqualifications, they are credentials of authority. Every tear you've cried has become ink in the scroll of your testimony. And yet, our question remains, one that pierces deeper than surface comfort. Will you rise to the fullness of what you were born for? Many are called, but few respond. Matthew 22:14 warns, "For many are invited, but few are chosen." The difference lies not in heaven's invitation, but in your decision. Will you remain distracted by Babylon's noise? Or will you step into the silence of divine command and legislate with the authority given to you? Will you shrink back into comfort? Or will you stand as a hinge of history, opening doors for generations that follow? Let this settle into your spirit. The final hour is not about fear, it is about focus. This is not the time to wrestle with small battles while the eternal war is raging. It is not the time to dilute your gift when nations await the sound of your trumpet. Like Esther, You were placed in your position for such a time as this, Esther 4:14. Like Joseph, your rejection became the road to rulership. Like Daniel, your refusal to bow is the very posture that sets you apart. Heaven has written your story not as background music, but as a symphony rising in crescendo. And this is where you stand now, at the threshold. Your gifts are awakening. Your fire is igniting. Your assignment is no longer distant, it is here. Revelation 3-8 carries a prophetic seal over your life. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. The only question is, will you walk through it? So I say to you, chosen one, rise. Rise from fear. Rise from distraction. Rise from doubt. The hour is demanding your obedience, and the earth is waiting for your manifestation. You are heaven's answer to earth's questions. You are not late, you are right on time. You are not invisible, you are God's living weapon, unveiled on the stage of history. And as we close this message, I want to remind you, your journey is not walked alone. This channel exists to awaken, to equip, and to strengthen God's chosen ones like you. If this word has stirred something in your spirit, I invite you, like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next message. And in the comments, let me know what part pierced your spirit most. Your voice strengthens this community. To those who have supported with super thanks, from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. And to those who simply give your time, your attention, and your prayers, you are just as vital, and I honor you. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you and give you peace. May every dormant gift within you be awakened, every fractured soul sealed, and every fire of destiny inside you ignited until the world knows you were truly born for this hour.